Let's walk on the wise path.
Truly fulfilling life? Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, believed that there are 5 core principles that are essential for leading a good life. These principles, known as the 5 precepts, are guidelines for ethical and moral conduct that can help us navigate the complexities of life and find true happiness and peace. 1. Abstain from killing. The first precept of Buddhism is to abstain from killing. While this may seem like a given, it extends beyond just not taking another person's life. It also means avoiding harm to all living beings, including animals. By refraining from killing, we show respect for all forms of life and cultivate compassion and kindness. When we take a step back and think about it, it makes sense that killing goes against the principles of Buddhism. After all, Buddhism is founded on the belief in the interconnectedness of all things. When we harm or kill another living being, we disrupt that interconnectedness and cause suffering. But abstaining from killing isn't just about avoiding harm. It's also about actively cultivating compassion and kindness towards all living beings. When we approach life with this mindset, we begin to see the world in a different way. We start to see the beauty and value in all things, and we cultivate a sense of empathy and understanding. So how can we practice the first precept in our daily lives? It starts with awareness. We need to be mindful of the impact our actions have on the world around us, and we need to actively work to reduce harm and promote compassion. This might mean adopting a vegetarian or vegan diet to reduce the harm we cause to animals, or it might mean practicing non-violence in our interactions with other people. Ultimately, the first precept is about recognizing the inherent value of all life and working to preserve and protect it. When we do this, we not only live in accordance with the principles of Buddhism, but we also contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world for all beings. 2. Abstain from stealing. The second precept of Buddhism is to abstain from stealing. This means we should not take anything that does not belong to us without permission. While this may seem like a simple principle, it extends beyond just physical possessions. It also includes intangible things like ideas and intellectual property. By refraining from stealing, we cultivate honesty and integrity and show respect for the property and rights of others. We demonstrate that we value the hard work and effort that others have put into their possessions, and we recognize that taking what is not ours can cause harm and suffering. But the second precept is not just about avoiding harm. It's also about actively promoting respect and responsibility. When we live our lives with integrity, we inspire others to do the same. We create a community that values honesty and ethical behavior, and we contribute to a more harmonious and peaceful world. So how can we practice the second precept in our daily lives? It starts with being mindful of our actions and the impact they have on others. We need to be honest in our dealings with others and respect their property and intellectual rights. We can also take steps to promote ethical behavior in our communities, such as reporting theft or fraud when we witness it. Ultimately, the second precept is about recognizing the value of others and their possessions and working to promote a world where honesty and integrity are valued. When we do this, we not only live in accordance with the principles of Buddhism, but we also create a better world for ourselves and those around us. 3. Abstain from sexual misconduct. The third precept of Buddhism is arguably the most controversial. It calls for the abstention from any sexual behavior that is harmful or unethical, such as adultery or sexual harassment. This precept promotes sexual restraint as a means of cultivating respect, responsibility, and healthy relationships. Sexuality is a complex and deeply personal aspect of our lives, and it can be difficult to navigate. While it's natural to have sexual desires and impulses, it's important to be mindful of the impact our actions have on others. The third precept challenges us to consider the consequences of our sexual behavior and to act in a way that promotes the well-being of all involved. By practicing sexual restraint, we can cultivate a sense of respect for ourselves and others. We can learn to view sexuality as a sacred aspect of life rather than a commodity to be exploited. This can lead to healthier and more fulfilling relationships, as well as a greater sense of personal fulfillment. It's worth noting that the third precept is not meant to promote sexual repression or shame. Rather, it's about recognizing the power and potential of our sexuality and using it in a way that is responsible and ethical. By embracing this precept, we can learn to approach sexuality with a sense of mindfulness and compassion, and create deeper and more meaningful connections with those around us. So how can we practice the third precept in our daily lives? It starts with being mindful of our sexual behavior and the impact it has on others. We need to be respectful of others' boundaries and desires and communicate openly and honestly about our own. We can also take steps to educate ourselves about healthy sexuality and relationships and seek out resources and support when needed. Ultimately, the third precept is about cultivating a sense of responsibility and respect in our sexual relationships. By embracing this precept, we can create a more harmonious and fulfilling existence for ourselves and those around us. 4. Abstain from wrong speech. The fourth precept of Buddhism is to abstain from wrong speech. This means avoiding lying, gossiping, or speaking harshly. By speaking truthfully and kindly, we cultivate trust, respect, and positive relationships with others. When we speak harshly or spread gossip, we cause harm to ourselves and others. Our words have the power to uplift and inspire, or to tear down and destroy. By choosing to speak truthfully and kindly, we not only cultivate positive relationships with others, but we also promote our own well-being. Speaking truthfully means being honest and transparent in our communication. It means sharing our thoughts and feelings openly and authentically, without hiding behind falsehoods or half-truths. When we speak truthfully, we build trust and credibility with others and create a foundation for healthy relationships. Speaking kindly means using our words to uplift and inspire others. It means avoiding hurtful or negative language and instead choosing to use language that is supportive and encouraging. When we speak kindly, we show others that we value and respect them, and we create a positive, uplifting environment. But speaking truthfully and kindly is not always easy. We may be tempted to lie or speak harshly in order to avoid conflict or protect ourselves. However, when we choose to do so, we create more harm than good. We damage our relationships and undermine our own integrity. So how can we practice the fourth precept in our daily lives? It starts with being mindful of our words and the impact they have on others. We need to be honest and transparent in our communication and avoid spreading gossip or speaking negatively about others. We can also take steps to cultivate positive language and use our words to uplift and inspire those around us. Ultimately, the fourth precept is about recognizing the power and potential of our words and using them in a way that promotes positive relationships and personal growth. When we embrace this precept, we not only live in accordance with the principles of Buddhism, but we also create a more harmonious and fulfilling world for ourselves and those around us. 5. Refrain from taking intoxicants. The fifth precept of Buddhism calls for refraining from taking intoxicants, which means avoiding any substance that impairs our judgment or inhibits our ability to think clearly. This principle promotes self-control and moderation, which in turn helps us cultivate clarity of mind and promote our own physical and mental well-being. Intoxicants can take various forms, including alcohol, drugs, and even excessive amounts of caffeine. While it's natural to seek pleasure and enjoyment, it's important to be mindful of the impact that these substances have on our minds and bodies. By practicing self-control and moderation, we can avoid the negative consequences of intoxicants, such as addiction, accidents, and impaired judgment. In addition to promoting our own well-being, the fifth precept also helps us cultivate compassion and empathy for others. When we are sober and clear-headed, we are better able to understand and empathize with the experiences and struggles of those around us. We are also better equipped to make decisions that benefit not only ourselves, but also those around us. So how can we practice the fifth precept in our daily lives? It starts with being mindful of the substances we consume and the impact they have on our minds and bodies. We need to be aware of our limits and practice self-control and moderation. We can also seek out healthy ways to experience pleasure and joy, such as exercise, meditation, and spending time with loved ones. Ultimately, the fifth precept is about recognizing the power and potential of our minds and bodies and using them in a way that promotes our own well-being and the well-being of those around us. By embracing this principle, we not only live in accordance with the principles of Buddhism, but we also create a more harmonious and fulfilling existence for ourselves and those around us. In conclusion, the 5 precepts are powerful guidelines for living a good life. By cultivating these principles, we can develop positive character traits, promote ethical conduct, and create a happier, more meaningful existence. Remember, living a good life is not just about personal satisfaction, but also about contributing to the well-being of others and the world around us.